All right, everybody, welcome into another episode of T&J Sports Podcast. Drizzy's here. I know Tstalls, you're here.
Tstalls, what up?
All right, so we are going to go over week 3 of college football. We have got our week 3 picks, pick reviews in. Pretty average week for us. And then we'll recap Kentucky, recap Louisville, and everything like that happened. Nothing too exciting over week 3. Um, I guess to get started, let's go ahead and start with the Friday game. We'll go and start with Louisville. They dropped to Florida State 35-31 at home opener. They're sitting at 1-2 on the season. Um, Overall, very promising in the first half,
Yeah.
not so good in the second half. Malik Cunningham, you know, threw for 243 yards, touchdown and an interception, carried the ball for another 127 with 2 touchdowns. Um, Defense absolutely, well, I wouldn't say defense got obliterated. Jarvis Brownlee got obliterated by Johnny Wilson in that second half. So,
Mhm.
you know, it wasn't a good day. I'll let you were at the game. I'll let you recap from inside the stadium perspective real quick. But yeah, so what do you got?
Uh, well, the perspective of being actually at the game, I mean, from seeing the product on the field, like you said, in the first half, it was a really great game. First half, I thought Louisville was actually going to be able to pull this out. I did see some minor things that were, that wasn't looking as great as I wanted it to look. One in particular is that we could not guard their top receiver, who's freaking 6'7". Let me see what his name, Johnny Wilson. Yeah, as you mentioned, um, the guy's a beast. Like I said, he's 6'7". The corners that we had on him were 5'10", 6 foot at the tallest. So that's kind of easy to see if you're a football person or not. You can kind of tell what was going to happen there. You can kind of see what was actually going to happen just from looking up, down onto the field. You can see what they were trying to do. They're trying to isolate that one corner, and mostly in the second half, because I think in the first half they just kind of weren't going with that game plan. They were trying to stick to the game plan that they wanted to at the beginning, and it was working for the most part. Even though we were winning 21-14, FSU had a certain game plan they wanted to try, and they did exactly what college coaches are supposed to do and made adjustments for the second half. And you've seen those adjustments in the second half where they were isolating our corner, one on one, in particular, number 12. What was his name? It was so bad I didn't even want to know the kid's name.
Jarvis Brownlee got cooked for 2 different touchdowns,
Yeah,
both of Johnny Wilson's touchdowns. I will say though, to set up his first touchdown of the day, Kendrick Duncan looked like I'm not totally technically sound, but it looked like a cover 2, cover 3 that turned into man
mm,
because Wilson started on near side of the field, ended up running post route straight across the middle, and Duncan
yeah,
just absolutely got obliterated and could not keep up,
yeah,
and uh, and then that set up the first touchdown um, for Wilson. I will
yeah.
say though, Wilson with 7 receptions, 149, 2 touchdowns. He got almost double his receptions in the season in that
Yeah,
one game, and
yeah,
over half of his total yards for the season, and both his touchdowns. I think he transferred in from Arizona State
yeah.
for that. So,
What's
and I
crazy?
think was Jarvis Brownlee a Florida State transfer, I believe.
Brownlee was. Let's look at his history. We had a couple like flip flops there. Like we had one player that now plays for them, Greedy Vance, who now plays
Nope.
for Florida State, and I believe Brownlee did play for Florida State. So we kind of did a swap, and I wish we can swap it back after that performance. Honestly, all season long so far, you can see that Brownlee has one interception, and I was watching the game against UCF. It was pretty much the still the game, and honestly, the guy has not played that great all year. it, I don't want to sound down. Maddie heard the last podcast and said, "You need to stop sounding so down on your team. Pick them up, pick them up." Well, look, if they gave me something to pick up, I will. I don't even want to harp on defense that much because offense is where we kind of have been struggling. Defense has showed promises the last 2 games, even against Florida State. At certain points, they've shown flashes of like, "Hey, if offense handles our business, then we're golden." Yeah, we gave up 35 points, but it was mainly because the offense kept putting us back on the field nonstop and couldn't keep a drive going. But offensively, Malik, I don't even want to call him the correct name. Mikael Cunningham has not shown that much flash of him being a 6-year senior. He's shown his athleticism. That's completely different than being a smart quarterback who's been in this system for 4 years now, who knows what we need from him, who's getting all this hype. We say this every week, getting all this hype to be in the Heisman running. He's completely out of the Heisman running for now. I mean, I don't see him performing anything or doing anything for the rest of the season to be put back in those watch lists. But the last play of the game, what ended it, and what ended any hope for me of him being, leading us to a big bowl game, was him throwing an unnecessary pass on second down when we still had 30 seconds and we were just crossing the 50-yard line. He just throws up a prayer ball when we didn't need a prayer ball at that moment, and it gets intercepted. And we're all just looking like, did he really just throw that? A 6-year senior who's been playing for 4 or 5 years in this system, just throw that ball instead of throwing it away. You can tell in his head, he's like, throw it away, throw it away, throw it away. Nah, I'm going to just throw it up. And we're just, every fan in the
If
stand
you're
is like,
gonna,
why? Why?
if you're gonna make that pass, then I mean that pass right there, live to play another down. That pass needs to go to a fan in the stands
Yes.
and get that over. I mean that's right there.
At certain
It
time, like knowing the game, you got to know one, there's a clock, mental clock in your head, knowing like, all right, the pass rush is going to get to me here soon. And for one, there's a game clock situation going on where we need to get this ball out quickly. We need to get out of bounds or just stop the clock because there's 30 seconds. And then there's the aspect of, all right, this is a bad throw. Let me just throw it away, live to see another down. Yes, third and long after that, but hey, there's still 2 more plays. That's not going to be the end of the game if you throw it out of bounds. But it was the end of the game because you wanted to fit something in that didn't need to be fitted in. If it would have worked out and it would have hit the receiver, which I believe he was going to Amari Huggins, still I would have been like, why? Why that pass? But Malik showed his glimpse of, being a great athlete. He hasn't shown his glimpses of being a great quarterback. He did one pass that whole game where he fitted in a tight pocket. I mean, he was in a nice pocket, stepped up, made a nice pass right in stride for the receiver, right over the tip of the DB's fingers. And I was like, wow, that's the first time I've seen him make a good pass like that. And, probably since, I don't know, his first year with Scott.
Forever.
Yeah, his
Yeah.
first year with Scott, he was making good passes. That was his first good pass that I've seen in a while. And man, it's nerve wracking. I mean, I didn't want to get my hopes up for this game because Florida State's been playing pretty decent this year, and Louisville hasn't, like always, well, like at least last couple of years. And I thought maybe we would have their number because we've had their number in recent years, and we didn't. We made bonehead mistakes.
It's either you've had the number or it's been one of those games that since y'all been in the ACC that you all have always played well.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me of Kentucky and Florida, past Mark Stoops' first few years. They've always played a very tight game.
Yeah.
Especially, besides an anomaly here and there, I think there's been 3 out of the 10 games where it's been blowouts, but every other game for Kentucky, Florida has been a close matchup. So that's what reminds me of for you all with Florida State. I'll go back to you said that, offense couldn't sustain drives, stay on the field.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just say your total time for your scoring drives, whether it was touchdowns or field goals, came out to 9 minutes and 42 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
The longest scoring drive that you all had was 2 minutes and 33 seconds, and that was in the first quarter. your first touchdown. So I mean, it's good to score quick
But
if
you can't control the game that way. I used to not
yeah.
like it as a receiver because you do have to control the game because 35 points is a lot of points in any game. I get it, college is different level of this. You don't have great defenses out there to stop it like you do in the NFL, where you don't see those high scoring unless you're the Bills, who can put up 40 plus points and hold the team to 7. If you watched the game last night, but yeah, offensively, you got to know in your mind the coach Sat loves running the ball. I said it to you before. We love running the ball in second and long. But you got to be effective with the run. And we're not effective with our run because Tyon Evans is out. Jordan is doing as well as he can do running the ball for us. Cooley did a great job. He had a touchdown in the game, but Malik Cunningham is our main guy. He had 127 yards rushing on 17 carries. Of course, some of those were he got flustered out, he got pushed out of the pocket and had to just take off running. But that's who he is. And I said that last week. The key to this game is to get Malik Cunningham in the run game, get him going, because one, that's going to get the defense to scoot up, and then we can hit those long balls for our receivers that are speedy, like Amari Huggins, Bruce, like he did on that one good pass I just mentioned, him getting it right over the defender's finger. And I feel like we kind of went away from that in the second half. And then Malik Cunningham went back to being old Malik. But we do
Yeah,
have
I mean,
USF this week, so that's the one game. Other than what I thought Syracuse was going to be, this is like a gimme game. I hope. I mean, USF still isn't that great.
USF, what maybe not be that great, but they did almost beat Florida last week.
Yeah, that's
So
just Louisville's luck. We're getting the best from the worst
what
team.
does that say about, does it get more to USF? Does it get more to Florida? How, or is Florida overrated? Which I think Florida is definitely a little overrated. Um, but I mean,
For the
getting back,
most part.
Cunningham is your offense, like you said. He accounted for 370 yards of your 495 total yards of offense. So you split however many other running backs, split 115 yards between them.
Mm-hmm.
Your top receiver, Mari Huggins Bruce, had 3 receptions for 61 yards.
Yeah. And his
Um,
longest catch was
all in all,
5 yards, and that was the one pass that Malik connected on.
yeah, I mean,
So that's
21 to 34, not horrible,
mm-hmm.
percentage wise. You did lose the turnover battle. You
Yep.
get 3-2. Another big stickler, honestly, 11 penalties for 81 yards
That was another
compared
thing,
to
man. And
six
we had
for 80
three penalties. We had three penalties on one drive before we even. I think it was 2 plays back to back, 3 plays in one drive where we had false starts. And we're all looking in the stands like, how are we false starting? Do we not know our own snap count? I mean, we're not even being loud as a crowd. Do they not know what to do? They just try to do this hurry up offense, and the line just got. I don't know. We have an old line, like we have a upperclassmen as linemen, and we can't get our snap count right. So,
especially at home.
especially
Like,
at home. So, I won't harp on Louisville too much longer because I know we got to get to going with UK. But even more bad news for Louisville. We lost one of our transfers early in the season. Well, before the season was starting in UofL, our D lineman. Now we lose another one of our transfers, a top receiver, D Wiggins, who actually played pretty. I mean, he had 2 catches for 41 yards, but we kept saying it before the game, and I kept hearing it on other podcasts, like, dude, get D Wiggins the ball, get Wiggins the ball, because he's a playmaker. And now we can't give him the ball. He's out with an injury for the rest of the year. I don't know what that means for him going forward. Luale said that he's going to come back again, of course, for another year because he can gray shirt. Wiggins is a junior, so he does have the potential to come back for 2 more years because he can gray shirt after sustaining that injury. It just sucks, man. Now it's all on Tyler Hudson and Amari Huggins, and maybe we can get another receiver to step up. Maybe Braden Smith can return to old form before he tore his ACL last year, but that's a lot to ask, man. And
take Marshawn Ford out of the backfield and throw him back at tight end. I
yeah,
mean, that
Marshawn
dude
Ford
could
hasn't
catch
even
the
played
ball.
up, man. He's look at his
That
receiving. He had 3 catches for 15 yards.
I mean, that's all out of the backfield. I see him lining up as fullback all the time.
Yeah,
So I
and
mean, uh, that dude can catch. That dude's made plays over the past few years.
he has. I
You're
also
gonna
seen him make a
need
couple drops this year. He's had a couple drops this year. Braden Smith had a huge drop last week in the Florida State game, and that was keeping the drive going. And we threw the ball to him on an out route on third and 8, and he would have had it well past the first yard down, hit him right in his chest. And we're just like, man, what? I mean, Malik can only do so much. I harp on him not being the best passer, but when your receivers
if it hits
can't
you,
help you,
if it hits you, you need to catch it.
yeah, that's
If
the
it
saying
puts
as a
you on the
receiver,
numbers,
man.
catch
Touch your hands, you catch it.
it. Yeah. So
But
I
that's
mean,
Louisville, man. Let's go to I know it's a good time to be a UK fan. You guys are thriving right now. Y'all didn't help me in my parlay, but you did get the win. So
did get the win. Did get the win. Moved to 3-0 in the year. Moved up. Now ranked eighth in the country in the AP poll.
nice.
31 nothing win over Youngstown State. I believe it was our first shutout at home
Mm-hmm.
um, since '09. So before Mark Stoops has even been there.
That with Joker?
So all in all, I'm gonna be picky
Yeah,
because I said last week I wanted these games to be tune-up games and fix mistakes and problems from the past few games. I didn't see that.
yeah,
Little so I mean, Levis 27 to 35, threw for 377, two touchdowns, had a rushing touchdown to kick off the scoring, uh, but also threw two piss poor interceptions.
mm,
That that is what plagues him is he throws some horrible interceptions, and it's not even like he's trying to fit them anywhere. It's literally just a bad decision, horrible pass. Like it's not even double coverage. It's he's got to clean that up to
yeah,
move forward. His
definitely.
interceptions, and yeah. So I mean, he did all right. Kvassier Smoke, 18 carries, 66 yards, and a touchdown. Dane Key was a leading receiver, freshman. I really like that kid. That kid can ball, dude. That kid out of Lexington, Frederick Douglass, he can flat
Mhm.
out play. He can flat out play his position. Six receptions,
Guys have
90 yards,
studs, man.
touchdown.
Guys have studs.
Uh, he's, but I did, they did roll in a lot of different people. I won't harp too. I want to see some more scoring. I want to see a bigger blowout than that.
Mm-hmm.
In that
So did
game.
I. I expected 50 plus points.
But I mean, we held them to 192 yards of offense.
That's a good sign
Defense
from
did an
the
amazing
defense, man.
job.
Yeah.
Like any opponent that you're holding under 200 yards of total offense throughout the whole game, that's, you know, they got an interception they got to take away. They need to keep doing that. I mean, Kentucky almost put up 500 yards of offense,
Only
and I'm
31
complaining.
points. That's crazy. Were they
I
just
know.
ball and then the two interceptions happen? So they could have
Yeah,
potentially
but
had 40 something if they scored
yeah,
two
we
drives.
could have potentially had a lot more interceptions. Bad. I mean, two interceptions and a fumble. I mean, I mean,
There's
three turnovers, and I'll say again, the penalties. Kentucky had 10 penalties for 74 yards. To the Youngstown State 7 for 46. So they got to clean that up too. There's no reason for that,
yeah.
especially in that game at home.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, it was an early game, but still, I mean, I'm gonna be picky. I didn't see what I wanted to see. Northern Illinois went. Our opponent next week went and played Vanderbilt really well.
Yeah.
Almost pulled out the W, which of course it's Vanderbilt, but I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
we'll
it's a good
see.
tune-up game too. That's another tune-up for you.
Good tune-up game. We'll see what happens. Like I said, I'm being picky with interceptions. Got to get cleaned up. That's ridiculous.
I think we're our most pickiest at the beginning of the season because all off season you get told one thing by the coaches and you go into game one expecting to see it, and then we don't see it, and you're like, okay, it's game one. They're working out the kinks. Game two, you're like, all right, where's that talent now? Let's start seeing it. And by game three, you're just like, Coach, what were you talking about? So I
Yeah.
don't want to
I
say
mean,
we blow it out of proportion, but it is. It's I mean, can't really get mad with 3-0, like you said, but I mean, you can get worrisome. Like you can be a little
yeah, I mean,
winning,
you've
but
got, I mean, Will Levis, uh, almost thrown for 1,000 yards on the season, 67% completion percentage. That's not horrible.
yeah,
But 6 touchdowns to 4 interceptions, and he's
yeah.
taken 11 sacks.
I'm glad you brought that up because I was actually going to tell you some crazy stats when you look at passer ratings. Who do you think uh, is the top, without looking, just off your head, who do you think would be leading the SEC in passing right now?
In passing right now,
Passing yards, yeah.
I'm just trying to think. I don't know. Can you give me a division? Give me division, and I'll narrow it down. Give me a hint.
Let's see. They're in the West. No, they're in the East. Sorry.
It's Spencer Rattler, South Carolina.
No. He's not leading. Well, he's not too far along in this. He's not too far along, but
Ooh, Hendon Hooker, probably right. Tennessee.
he's up there. Yeah. Stetson Bennett.
Oh, fuck, of course. I
Stetson.
don't give that man any praise. That is the goofiest white boy who should not be able to throw
Hey,
for that
listen to
many
his
yards.
stats. 65 completions for 88 attempts, 73.9% completions, 952 yards passing. He has 5 touchdowns, not a lot, but no interceptions. He's been sacked once. That tells me that offense is running the ball really, really effectively, and he is smart with the ball. He knows to get rid of the ball when he needs to get rid of it, which doesn't look like it has to be too many times because he only has 23 incompletions. But he's smart with the ball and he has athletes out there. You want to know who's not who's not in the top 50 that you would never expect? Who do you think's not in the top 50 of all college football?
Uh,
I
Malik.
won't. Nah. Bryce Young is not even in the top 50 passing yards. The reigning Heisman Trophy winner is not even in the top 50 for passing. You know who is in
And
the top 50? Actually, he's number 50. You said
oh,
his name already. Spencer Rattler is number 50.
Rattler.
Spencer
Hmm.
Rattler, he has horrible stats, but a guy's getting yards. He's 2 touchdowns for 5 interceptions. That's horrible. I'll take Bryce Young. I don't mean to say that to say anything about Bryce, but I did not expect him to not have top 50 stats when it comes to passing yards.
I
I thought that was
mean,
a wild stat because I was looking it up. I'm like, all right, who am I missing here? Where's the no Bryce Young? What? But
that's pretty average. Nine touchdowns and 2 interceptions.
that's great. That's second in the SEC.
I mean,
He's doing what he's
throwing.
supposed to do with the ball. He just not getting many yards from him, which is weird because I guess I don't know, that defense is just doing good enough. They don't, allow the ball to go past the 50-yard line, and the special teams is getting the ball on short drives for them. So, and then the run game, of course, is pretty good. They have great transfer from Georgia Tech, so I can see that being the case. Um,
Man, that is. He reminds me of a little bit of a watered down version of Jalen Hurts
Bryce
with
Young.
a better arm talent. Bryce Young.
Oh,
Like
I
he's
think
got the same size, but Hurts could run the ball. And I'm sure Bryce could run
Bryce.
the ball,
Yeah,
but Bryce doesn't want to run the ball.
yeah.
It's like I'm not going to say he's scared to
He's
get out of
smart.
the
He wants
pocket,
to be
but
a pocket passer, and I think he's
yeah,
saving his career by being a pocket passer because, as you're told, you run the ball out as a QB. You're not used to getting those hits, and he's being smart, especially in the SEC. You don't want to get hit, man. You don't want to feel.
SEC, he's smaller. Now, if you're Josh Allen size, like in the NFL,
Yeah, oh, you're
now
good.
he's out there just tracking dudes. I mean, you're fine. But Will Levis, like I say, Will Levis's size can get out, run,
Mm,
and not expect to probably get injured on a hit. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Just to hit us. But I
Uh,
mean,
pass. last crazy stat. I just want to say, you remember the
Yeah.
quarterback from IU last year? He was hurt, so probably 2-3 years ago.
Penix went to Washington.
This man is
Yeah.
balling. He is
I,
balling.
they, they just beat the tar out of Michigan State.
Yeah, he is. He's coming back for redemption because if he stayed in Indiana, they might be. They're 3-0 still, but they might be up there at the top in Big Ten if he stayed. But now he's at Washington and he is leading the pack. He has 1,000 yards passing with 10 touchdowns to 1 interception. He has 180 QBR rating. That's crazy.
That
That's
is
crazy.
that's
I'm
quite
glad he's
a
doing
stat.
well.
He,
Huh?
he was he was doing really well the past few years before he got injured.
Yeah.
So
He just can't stay. That's
uh,
again. There you go, running quarterback. He tried running and hurt himself. So he's man, he's doing well. I'm glad he's doing well. I wish he was doing well
yeah,
in Indiana. I'm a partial Indiana fan for those who don't know. Blame that on Maddie. So
you gotta do what you gotta do.
hey, they're
I ain't
3 and
gonna
0,
lie.
so I have something to cheer about. You know.
They had their quarterback. I was sitting there watching. They played Western Kentucky this past
Yeah,
weekend,
I
and I
was
was like,
there.
"Where did that dude come from?" And
Connor Bazelak. Yeah.
he's like, "Came from Missouri." And I was wondering why IU was looking so crappy, and that's because they had him.
Hey, he's
So,
got better stats than my boy Will Levis.
well, it,
Horrible
uh,
completion. Horrible completion.
yeah, Will's got to clean that shit up.
He does.
So,
All right, let's see
uh,
how we do on our pick'ems, man.
yeah, well, I started at the weekend strong. Florida State versus Louisville,
Mm,
Friday night game. I went ahead and chose the Noles. You took the Cardinals. We all know how that played out. Jordan
yeah,
started out 1-0 for the week. Georgia, South Carolina. We both took Georgia. That was easy.
that's a game.
Cal, Notre Dame. Notre Dame barely squeaked that one out. I don't know if I'll ever pick them again. That was a little too tight for my liking.
Yeah.
And then Penn State, Auburn. Penn State went down and handled business
Yes, they
at
did.
Auburn. Uh,
They handle
you
business.
know,
They play the SEC sometimes, most of the time.
yeah. So we'll, so going through those four, I was sitting at 4-0. You're at 3-1, not too bad. And then the night game started. BYU, Oregon. We both took BYU. Oregon
Oregon
decided to
surprised me.
show up to play.
Yeah, they surprised me in that game.
Yeah, and then next Mississippi State, LSU. We both took Mississippi State. LSU decided to also come to play.
Yeah,
Yeah, they did have that. I think they had a week off between those games, maybe. And then Hurricanes went to Texas A&M and got
rocked.
beat. So um, it started out so good. I ended up on Saturday being 4-3. You were 3-4, so not too shabby, pretty average. Brought me up to 13-5 on the season, and brought you back to a respectable 500 at 9-9.
Bang,
Uh,
bang. Long season. We're good.
yep. So not doing too bad. Going into week 4, we only got 5 games to pick this week.
Yeah.
Um, but they're really good 5 games. I could sit and watch all 5 of these games and be a good Saturday.
Yeah. Oh, it's
So
going to
week
be a great
4,
Saturday.
yeah, week 4 starting out Wisconsin, Ohio State. I'm rolling with the Buckeyes. They're
Same.
rocking their all black unis. I think that'll be pretty
Ooh.
slick. Did you say you're going with the Buckeyes as well?
I'm going with Buckeyes. Yeah, I'm not picking Wisconsin. They do give Ohio State trouble sometimes, but CJ Stroud is balling, and Marvin Harrison Jr. He's balling now without Smith being out, their top receiver for Ohio State. And Marvin Harrison has shown he is going to be a top draft pick, at least one of the top 5 receivers taken in the draft.
Yeah, it's I'm not picking Wisconsin because I still have basketball vibes from 2015. So going on Clemson, Wake Forest, top 25 game here. Going to be at Wake Forest. I think going to give them a little problems, but I will go ahead and I'm going to take Clemson on that one.
Yeah, yeah.
You got the Tigers as well.
I do have the Tigers as well. Sam Hartman is back with Wake Forest. so that's good for them. He did look good in his return game, but Clemson will prove to be too much. And I think it's going to be a nice tight game, but yeah, Clemson's going to come out on top.
I think so too. I hope not. We'll throw a stat in here in the middle. Kentucky has the second longest winning streak in the nation at the moment at 7 games.
No,
Number the first longest streak is Clemson at 9 games. So Kentucky handles business and Clemson loses. Kentucky will be the football team with the longest winning streak in the country. So there you go.
all right.
Just want to throw that there just so you can remember that when if that happens.
Oh yeah.
Next we've got the Arkansas Razorbacks versus Texas A&M Aggies. It's at College Station.
Mm-hmm.
Arkansas got a nice win last week, so did Texas A&M coming back. I think it's like a top 15 matchup.
Yeah.
I'm going with the Aggies. It's going to be at home. I think that's going to be a great game, though. There's not going to be much to argue about on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you
Like you said, Arkansas, they did get a win last week, but they were going against their former coach and Louisville's former coach, Bobby Petrino, and he gave them a scare. And going into the fourth quarter, they were up by 7, but Arkansas was able to squeak out a 38-27 win over Missouri State. Texas A&M did bounce back and get a win last week. But I just have a feeling Arkansas is going to be for real this year, at least until they play Alabama next week, and then they'll get humbled, I'm sure. So I think Arkansas can pull this out. KJ Jefferson is a really good quarterback. Again, he's one of those dual threats, but he wants to stay in that pocket. And if you do take away his passing option, he will make you regret it by going out and at least getting you 7-8 yards rushing. So I think KJ Jefferson is going to be too much for them, and Arkansas is going to come out with that one. Yeah.
got? All right. So you got the Razorbacks. I got the Aggies. So there's our first difference so far. Next we got Florida, Tennessee,
Mm-hmm.
SEC on CBS game of the week, I believe. Florida on the road, Neyland Stadium in Knoxville. Horrible, horrible orange place to go to. Um, I got the Vols. I think Florida is a pretender. I don't believe the
Mm-hmm.
hype around Anthony Richardson. All the hype was around him. Now it's, well, he's only had 4 starts total. I
Yeah.
mean, y'all weren't saying that when he beat Utah at home. I don't want to hear, they're everyone's backtracking now because they all look like idiots.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Hendon Hooker and the Vols, by 10-point win. I think they're going to handle business pretty well. What do you got?
I'm rocking with you, man. I'm going with the Vols as well. Kind of like you said, Hendon Hooker is doing pretty well. I think the Gators are, they're frauds. Anthony Richardson hasn't been doing that great after getting all that hype for the Kentucky game. I know it was only one game after, well, they did play last week. You know, they play USF. Again, it was a tight game. He didn't do that great in that game. Let's actually look at his stats for that game. Stats for that game, he was 10 for 8. Oh, 10 for 18, 112 yards, 2 interceptions. He had 11.6 QBR rating. Yeah, I think it's kind of a
Everyone in the
ball.
national media needs to apologize to Dan Mullen for why did you not play this kid last year? This
Yeah.
is why. You show now he's showing why. They could go back to he hasn't played enough,
Mm-hmm.
but he had one decent game to start the year. Everyone touted him as the next great thing. And I
Yeah.
mean, he is absolutely, I mean, what's that? He's had 4 interceptions
Mm-hmm.
just in the last 2 games. I don't know if he threw any in week 1, more than likely. I mean, it's pretty awful.
My
Pretty awful.
thing is what I heard over the week. I've actually Travis Kelce said it. And you really, when you think about it, it is true. If you give a coach 3 months to prepare for a team, get their tendencies, know what their coach is thinking, knowing what they're going to possibly do on first down, second and 8, second and 15, what plays do they come up with? you tend to have a good game plan going in that game one. And that's what they had for Utah. They had Utah's number, and that's why they won 29-26. But it was a tight game, so that I think it was mainly coaching that got them that 29-26 win. It wasn't more so they were the better team athletes wise, quarterback play wise. QB just knew what to do because the coach was telling him where to put the ball, what plays to run. And you've seen that against UK. He didn't do great. And then USF, again, he didn't do great. But that's when athletes came into play. Their athletes were better than UCF. But USF just, they're not that great, but they played great against the Gators. So Florida's going to get probably demolished against Tennessee.
I mean, two of Florida's wins are, I mean, they should honestly almost be losses. They should have lost to Utah. Cam Rising threw a horrible interception in the end zone. And I mean, USF, same thing. I think they threw an interception at the very end or got stopped on downs going into score. So, I mean, part of that's luck, part of that's coaching, part of that's these guys are skilled, but they're gonna get demolished in Tennessee and whatnot. So we
What you
both
got
got
for
the
this
balls
game?
there.
I want to know what you got for the Hoosiers. Hoosiers versus them.
Hoosiers. So we got Indiana, Cincinnati. Looks like it's at Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I got the Bearcats, dude. I mean,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Hoosiers are all right. I don't like Connor Bazelak at all.
Yeah.
I watched him. I mean, Western Kentucky. I mean,
They got a great offense.
they were pretty good against them last week. I think Cincinnati looked really good the past 2 weeks after losing to Arkansas. I mean,
Put it on do not disturb and it still calls. But yeah. I think Cincy's
Cincinnati.
gonna pull that out. I think Cincy's gonna pull that out as well. Indiana, I got to be at the game and I got to see how they play against WKU, and yeah, Cincy's gonna be too much. So Kentucky, you guys have Northern Illinois. Obviously, we're taking Kentucky for that, right? Of course,
Yeah,
you are. That's not even,
in Kentucky. I'm sticking with my 11-1 record so far. There ain't nothing to change my mind yet. I want to obviously want to see some things get cleaned up, but
yeah. And then Louisville, we play USF. Again, I already just harped on them against Florida. They did play great. So I think they're going to give us a great game. Louisville defensively has to show up. And they're going to have to make great plays to help our offense. And offense, I already told you what I expect from you. Run the ball with Malik and set up your, deep balls. But that's what I got for it, man. I really hope to see that this week for Louisville. It's our, Saturday game finally. So let's see what we can do.
Yep. So Kentucky, Louisville at noon, USF, and Kentucky at 7 o'clock. I think that's all we got for you this week, guys. Drizzy's gonna be signing out.
Tstalls out. Appreciate you all.
Appreciate y'all, and we'll hear you back next week.
Peace.